Welcome back to the CrownHoops Podcast. We are on to episode number 53 now. As always, my name is Jordan Daly. With me this week, we got Mike White and Ben Okazawa with a special guest, two-time NBA champion Josh Powell. What's up? Thank you for coming on, man.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good. Glad to have you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
No
So
problem.
we got to get one thing right off the bat here. Mike, not sure where he is on your screen. We got a big Lakers fan in the house.
Yes, sir. You see it.
I see
You see it.
He's absolutely loving it. Behind me, I got the Celtics. I'm a big Celtics fan, and then Ben is a Toronto fan, as you can see in the back. So we got a little mix here.
That's a good mix, man. Toronto not doing that well this year. It's okay, though.
Hey, listen, I'd rather we're trash for the next couple of years and we got the chip a couple of years back than have a bunch of mediocre seasons.
That's fair.
All right, let's get into it, though. We'll start off with a brief intro just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit. We always ask these same three questions to all the guests we have on the episodes. We'll start off with, what is your favorite team?
93, 94. Excuse me. I can't remember back to back. I guess it was 94, 95. So I would go with the Houston Rockets.
Houston Rockets. Any specific reason why?
The dream. That's my
The dream.
That's actually the reason I started playing basketball.
Really? That's so cool. So he was like the one that kind of like inspired you to start playing?
Yeah, because I was football and baseball when I started out, and I happened to cut my TV on one day, and the Houston Rockets was the first team I laid my eyes on. So yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I turned the TV on to Kobe. I tried to replicate that, but it didn't work. So I mean,
not quite. Didn't quite get there, Jordan.
I used to replicate the dream all the time, man. He's definitely a part of my package, and it's funny, man, because I actually had a chance to play one-on-one with him when I was with Houston, so it was cool.
That's awesome.
That's everybody's dream. That's dope.
How'd that one-on-one game go?
We didn't get a chance to finish, man. I was, because it was a group of us, so I was up two. We was playing. What was we playing? To like 3 or 4, and we had to stop. So I had two. It was like me, him, Joey Dorsey.
Okay.
And I can't remember who else, because the white wasn't a part of that. But it was like all the rest of us, though. I can't remember.
That's really cool. Do you have like a team that you currently root for now, like a team that you follow, or do you kind of just follow different players?
More so players. I mean, I keep up with Atlanta because that's the home team by default. I keep up with Milwaukee because my cousin plays there, Chris Middleton.
Okay.
I keep up with, the Lakers. I mean, I pretty much watch everybody to see what's going on, but I try to stay in the know, especially because, some of the guys that was in there when I was in there still doing their thing. So it's good to watch, just pay attention.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. Every player we've had on so far doesn't have like a favorite team. They all just say that they follow like different players. So I think that's kind of like a cool, like reoccurring theme. Speaking of favorite players, though, do you have any favorite players?
It's different when you know what I mean, when you get to that point and then you develop relationships. So it's just really hard to say. Like I've never been the type to get into the rivalries and all that kind of stuff, and then it's kind of hard having a favorite too. When me personally, I played for 9 different teams, so it's you kind of get an appreciation for all those clubs and the traditions and the history behind them when you get there. So it's a little different.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Do you have any favorite players that you like to follow up with still?
I keep in touch with so many people. I ain't gonna say like it's a favorite thing, but I mean I keep in touch with my fair share of guys. Like I said, I mentioned my cousin, Rob Covington. I mean it's a list. It's a list, man.
Okay. And what is your favorite NBA moment? And it can be one you were a part of, one you weren't a part of, just kind of like your favorite NBA moment in history.
And it's too many. You know what? I guess for my history, it would probably be my first official game.
Okay.
I think that's a special moment in the time. You never forget. That's what kind of kicks it off. And it's it's real. Then it's like a dream come true. But then that particular moment is like, wow, like I really achieved this goal, and that's that's something that can't be taken away. You know what I mean? Just making it to that level. So
Yeah, what's
that's
kind of going through your mind when you first step onto the court for an NBA game that first time?
I don't know, man. It's just kind of like it's crazy, man. Like I remember just talking to myself, like, man, I'm putting these NBA tights on, I'm putting these socks on, I'm putting the shorts on. Like it was just piece by piece, and when you look in the locker room, there's Dirk. Oh man, there's this one. Oh man, there's that one. So it's kind of crazy, like just it's like a dream come true, and then it's just kind of trippy because it's like people that you grew up watching, you're literally sitting in the same locker rooms with them, or you'll be suiting up against them sometime during the season. So that's really cool, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just really cool.
Yeah, I can tell you, I definitely dreamed of trying to do that one day, but I was not skilled enough for that. But I know Mike's been dying to ask this question, so I'll shift it over to him.
All right, man. I'm taking you to, I'm sure, is another great moment for you. Take us to what it's like winning the NBA championship. What is it like? The emotion, everything. Take us there. How it was winning your first championship.
It was just crazy because for me it was a little different because I had already been to the finals,
Mm-hmm.
but experienced a loss.
Right.
So I was still excited, but it was just dope being able to get back and then complete the mission.
Good.
And then I just kept thinking about like my family. I kept thinking about Atlanta. I kept thinking about Clayton County. I kept thinking about Riverdale. I kept thinking about my AAU teams because I'm just big on representing what I come from and the challenges and everything that I faced in order to get to that point. It was just humbling. I was just grateful. Like I didn't really know how to feel. I just sat in the locker room and I was just watching everybody, you know what I mean? Just understanding what they felt and what they were going through, their emotions alongside with mine and just, trying to work through that. And it was a lot. Just I think I thought of a lot of things throughout the summer, like after
Mm-hmm.
we, because it was the night, and then it was like the night we celebrated, and then it's like every day moving forward. Just when you go from like when I went back home, or when I went to North Carolina, or when I mean, it's just a lot of different things that was crazy. Then the parade is crazy, right? Because then
Mm-hmm.
you're waiting for that experience. Um, Man, it's just a lot, and it was just real humbling. Um, because then it was like when we came back and you still kind of on that high, and then it's like you got to snap out of it because now it's time to defend it.
Right. Get back to work.
Right. So it's a little bit of everything, man. But I mean, I don't feel that I was too high or anything. I was just grateful. Like I just gave praise to the Most High to be able to be in a position like that, because that's something that nobody can ever take away. You know what I mean?
Right.
That being a part of history. You know what I mean? Like knowing that it's also special too because obviously those two teams were the last two teams to have Kobe on it. Just a lot of different reasons, man. So it's really cool, to be a part of something like that.
Right. And speaking of history, so you win that first championship. You're grateful for all that goes. Then you get back to work. Then you go back to back. Was the feeling any different? Were you more appreciative of the fact that you was able to get another championship back to back? I mean, how did you feel winning the second one? What was the difference between winning that second one and that first one?
So I was beyond grateful, but I think for me, I was happier for everybody on the team that had been there in 2008. I'm not,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not, not even gonna lie, because to be able to, it's not often that teams get to have revenge. I know the pain and the hurt that they had when I joined the team
Mm-hmm.
that summer after coming off of that loss. So to get back to win it the way that we did, it was just I mean, you can't write it any better than that.
Right.
You
Game
know what I mean?
7, all the
I
way
mean,
down
with
to the
all of
wire.
that, we went through a lot, you know what I'm saying? And to be down 3-2, you know, thank God for home court advantage. They were kicking our asses in games, and to come back and win it, I mean, I don't think you can write it any better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a lot that went on into that, and like I said, like those guys who were on the teams that lost to Boston before, like I literally was just living through them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one of those things like you get it, but you don't really understand it because you know I wasn't a part of that when they lost.
Right.
I don't know what that feels like to lose to your rivalry team, like two of the biggest teams in NBA history, going head to toe. I mean, going head to head in a championship game. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was a lot at stake, man. And to be able to do that, and then you know to do it again, like that's another blessing. I done been to the finals 3 times, man. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for sure.
Hey,
And
I'm glad we're letting Jordan relive all these
Yeah, this is
2010
painful to me a little
great,
bit.
these
But,
great
awesome.
Celtic memories.
I'm gonna hold on to 2008 as long as I can. It's getting to the point where it's been a long time now, so it's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Hey, listen, Jordan, my team and your team have won the same amount of championships in the past 30 years.
Yeah, thanks for
Remember
reminding
that.
me, man. Thanks for
Don't
reminding
forget. But I wanted to take it back with my first question. So coming out of NC State, you obviously started playing in Russia, and then you went to the NBA after that. Did you feel like one sort of college versus overseas sort of prepared you better for the NBA than the other?
That's a great question. That's my actual first time getting that one. You know, it's interesting because like the way my journey kind of went, it was kind of like if I stayed in school and graduated, that by the time I got in the league, it was like my first full year, I guess to speak. Um, but I definitely think that the experience helped because I was a kid when I left school, and to be able to play against grown men, you know, understanding what that grind is like. I had a taste of the NBA, and then to be able to go overseas and to do a half a season after I got released, and then do a full season, and then like my second year, I had Monty Mack and Sean Colson as my teammates. So you talking about two guys. You know, I don't think Monty had a chance to play in the league, but he was a bucket. Like how he played, he just knew the game. He was a great veteran guy. And then Sean obviously played in the league. His game is very similar to Sam Cassell's. Like it's crazy. He's just shorter. But he knew how to play the game, and guys like that who, even though we're overseas, they're giving you that NBA type feel and those type of and that type of knowledge and that type of feel in game, and just being able to help, you know, on the court, man. It was definitely something that helped with the transition. And then, you know, once you find a rhythm and you're able to figure it out, because that's the other part of being a pro, like you got to figure it out, you know, and just figuring out what my niches were and how I can grow in these different areas are definitely things that help. Because when I got to the league, like summer league and all of that, having the motor I have, but then picking and choosing my spots, like it helps. It definitely helps. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll burn yourself out. Like college is always like you gotta slap the floor, be in the stands. You gotta run hard on defensive end to be down. You gotta run back hard, be the first rim runner, and all. Like it was just really learning how to pace and things like that help. So I'm not burning myself out. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, definitely grateful for those for that time.
Yeah, a different sort of maturity professional, I guess.
Yeah, and that part too, because it's also humbling. You know what I'm saying? Like I was able to come in, I be able to make a little money, so it wasn't like I was starstruck or losing my mind because I ain't never touched money before and living on my own or stuff like that. So being able to get a lot of that underneath my feet, you know what I mean, before going in. So it definitely helped.
So what made you kind of go in that direction, versus the more traditional route? Obviously at that time, we're not seeing as many guys go international compared to now. So what kind of made you want to be that trailblazer in a way?
I think that, I wasn't, to me, like, I just felt like, what am I going to go to the G League for when I can head overseas and actually make some decent money? And then just be able to hoop. Like, I needed to change the scene. Like, it was just things that kind of worked out that way. I always tell people, like, when I've had different interviews, like, I'm grateful for the NBA, but I grew as a man playing overseas. It just does so many different things to the mind when you're able to experience different and being in different countries, making those adjustments. I picked up different languages. I'm always having to adjust and learn, on the fly. And that's a hard thing. And I feel like that's something that, as men, that could be something that we could struggle with in life, because not being able to make those adjustments, you know what I'm saying? It's hard. Like, life is hard, you know what I mean? Especially right now, if you look at it, we in the middle of a pandemic and things are forever changing. But I'm looking at this time like this is a blessing because I get to spend more time with my kids, or I get to read more. I get to, like, I don't think I would have had that type of mindset if I just played in the league or, always had it my way. So being able to go through those adversities definitely helped, and it matured me, it shaped me, and it molded me on top of the, what I already had growing up because of everything that I went through.
So do you think that, going through those situations I don't know if a lot of people know this, you're a very big advocate with mental health. You've been involved with Mindful Sport and Performance, and you also have your own foundation, the 21 Reasons to Give. Going through some of those, is that kind of what made you want to become an advocate for that and kind of speak out on those issues?
It's definitely a part of it. And then also with the things that I faced, and I've been speaking out more and more and more, especially lately. Like, I've been doing a lot of work my whole life, and I've had to do a lot of work these last couple of years, especially after my divorce, and just trying to learn more about myself, trying to be better, trying to understand where certain behaviors have come from or what certain triggers, are coming from, and just really trying to be a better version of myself. So, I've always been someone who's comfortable, beyond comfortable in my skin, and I love myself and I appreciate myself, but I kept a lot of things to myself, in which I don't feel that that's, doing any good, because there are people out here going through things, and if I could use my experiences to help, why not? I feel like the Most High put me on this earth to serve. So that's one way that I should go about doing this, by sharing my story, is by talking about a lot of things that I've gone through, and hoping that, it can help somebody or inspire somebody, we all have things that we're going through, and it's okay.
Awesome. I'm glad you're using your platform to make a difference. But moving on, another thing that you were able to do was transition yourself from player to coach. You were an assistant coach with the Houston Rockets. What was that transition like, and how did that become a possibility for you to realize, okay, I could be a coach in this league too?
Man, they forced that shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Man, I was so mad because I had already been going through a lot of stuff, man, and it's funny because I started questioning retirement at like 30. I still had love for the game, but being away from my family, I felt was hurting more so than anything. I understand, I got to make a living and take care of my family, but I think on the flip side, like, my family has been number one. Just going through all of that stuff, man. And I actually, the second time I got back in the league, I was overseas in the Philippines. I had did China, the Philippines, and then I got the call to come to the Rockets. So I did a half a season. Not a half a season, but I came there in April and finished the season and went to playoffs. That's when Dame hit that shot. The one where Chandler was supposed to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was crazy because like that whole like the work that I had been putting in, obviously being an older guy, that was my 7th or 8th year in the league at that time. And just what I brought to the table, I spent the whole summer working out with Dwight, pushing him, like just grinding. And they kept telling me, like, it's looking good. We gonna keep you, like, just gas, man. And literally right before the day before training camp, they was just like, oh, just let you know we're not gonna keep you, but we would love to have you on the staff. I'm like, man, come on with that shit. And I was just like, look, man, I'm gonna fight. Like, cause that's just me. You know what I'm saying? People that know me, I'm not finna lay down. But I was just like, man, I'm gonna go up in here, I'm gonna fight each day. And I ended up being one of the last or the last that they released before going into the regular season. And they were like, remember when we talked about the coaching gig at the beginning? And I was just like, so then it was like, all right, man, like it's a cool opportunity. I'll just try to make the best of it. So I took it. I'm gonna tell y'all this though. It sucked being in those coaches meetings and having to hear the displeasure at the big spot. They would definitely come in there and be unhappy about things, and I'm just looking up in the air like, man, y'all got it. Like it's like the biggest slap in the face. At the same time, it's a blessing because I had the opportunity to get the coaching notch up under my belt, and I definitely learned a lot of things during that process that I'm grateful for, because I now see the ins and outs and what's going on behind the scenes, that most players won't get that chance to see.
True. Yeah. And you mentioned playing in the Philippines right before you went to Houston. Did you sort of, as someone who played with Kobe, did you notice how like insane their obsession is with Kobe over there in Asia?
Man, first of all, the Lakers anywhere in the world, crazy. It's crazy. But Philippines, man, shout out to them because they love basketball, and I did not realize how crazy they were about not only just the Lakers, but definitely about Kobe. Like it's unreal over there. And I was only over there for a short stint. I only played like 2 games because when I got the call, I left. But I enjoyed those 2 weeks. Like literally, like people, it'd be hundreds of people watching practice. Like they just like the arena was always packed. The atmosphere was crazy, so it was dope. It was definitely dope.
All right, so I got a question for you. Obviously, it's always going to be about your Laker days. I'm always going to go back. But I do want to ask you about what was it like playing for Phil Jackson, arguably maybe one of the best coaches, if not the best coach of all time. What was it like being there, learning from him, being around that team?
It was dope and it was different. Like that was one of the first times, because most coaches, they love to be in control in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that respectfully. Like I'm not trying to come down on anybody. They have their styles, but I remember Phil, like one of the first times Phil called a timeout, and he was like, "Y'all figure this shit out."
Right.
And I was like, "They not gonna come in the huddle. They not gonna talk." And it just kind of blew me away, man. But it was like, wow, like this is dope. Like he's holding us accountable. So, we're the ones who are on the court. Like he was right. We definitely got to figure out how to make this work. And we had great leaders. We had D Fish. We had Kobe. We had Powell. We had Lamar. Like we had guys that understood and knew the game. And it was nothing ever personal. Like anybody can come and say whatever in those huddles. That's how we was able to rock. So watching Phil in action do that, watching him manage egos was amazing to see. And I actually learning from him, it helped me as a parent because I have, multiple kids. So just being able to manage and, push them in their own way and all of that kind of stuff, are just things that I saw him do. You know what I mean? And it was just a great experience, man. Learning how to meditate and stuff like I've never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him come in and sage the building, sage the film room, just different things that he was doing that I picked up that I'm grateful for. Things that I wasn't necessarily too keen on, but eventually like have become a part of my habits and my routine and stuff like that. I've got those things from those 2 years when I was with the Lakers for sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, man, like as someone who played in the Big Three and also, all over the world, overseas, how do you feel like the Big Three sort of stacks up to international competition? Because obviously it's a lot of, former NBA players and people who still could play in the league in the Big Three.
I mean, I think it's really good. It was interesting because one of the guys who was he was from overseas. He was like a 3-on-3 champion or something like that. I forgot his name. He got picked up, but for whatever reason, either his country or FIBA wouldn't let him play. It was something like that. But I just think where it's going, like it just brings everything together, and it's just amazing to see because there's so many guys that can play this game. There's so many guys that people are like, why they ain't stick in the league, but they're still showing that they can play this game at a high level. And obviously Big Three went through what it went through year one, but man, year 2, year 3, like guys came back in shape, ready.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like the competitive nature was just at an all-time high. And then they were adding, overseas guys, like top guys that can hoop. Like, on my team, I mean, we had Frank Sessions, who's a competitor. Well-known guy. Yeah. So he's somebody that's exciting. He gets after it, on both sides of it. And it's just, they're creating different lanes and opening up more doors with how they're going about it. And, the type of people that are able to participate. Before the pandemic, they was having an open run to let anybody, like people who was talking shit, feeling like they can hoop against us, let them play. They was gonna let them do like a little combine and then pick the top whoever, and then they would have to do a combine with the other guys that were trying out. So, I mean, there's just different ways that they were being innovative and stuff like that, man. And it was just, it was just dope. It was dope. I gotta salute them on that.
Yeah, one of the things about the Big Three that I've heard a lot of players say is the physicality in that league is almost unmatched in terms of, how aggressive it can get and like how serious people can take it.
No, it's prison ball, bro. Especially when they let certain guys get away with everything versus others. It's prison ball for sure.
Yeah. So as someone who played in the Big Three, like, have you interacted with Cube at all, or have you met Cube and talked to Cube?
No, for sure, because obviously Cube being from LA, like he loves the Lakers. So I remember when I went to the first combine, I did really killed it. I was one of the top guys there, and he before I got picked up or anything, he was just like, "Oh man, I remember you from the Laker days, man. I'm glad to see you good." Because I had a chance to catch up with him during the parade. So, and I also did Ride Along too. I was in that movie. So being able to, being able to connect with him. So it's like I've had the chance to see and talk to Q. We know of each other, and it's just real dope what he's doing. You know what I mean? And creating opportunities for guys and again for even the supporters to keep up with people that they're used to watching. So it's dope.
Speaking of kind of giving a new opportunity to some other guys, is there anyone that, going into the Big Three, you may have overlooked them, but then once you got on the court with them, you're like, wow, you can really play?
I can't say that. because for me, like I played everywhere. I think more so that's a question for the NBA guys who've only played in the league.
Okay.
Because that's all they know. So when you talk about guys who played overseas and in the NBA, we know that there are some dogs out here. So we know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me personally, I'm never gonna be like sleeping on anybody because I always take everything, every person, every game serious. And I study the game too much. I'm always watching to see what other people are doing. So I know it's some dogs out there. You know what I mean? And when I step on the court, it's a pride thing. I'm not even gonna play with that.
All right, well, this is my last question for you, man. Got to talk about my favorite player of all time. So here's my question: what impact did Kobe have on you as a player and as a man and as a father? You know, you would know the best. You've been in those locker rooms with him. You've been in those practices. Take us inside. Give us the scoop on how it was being around Kobe every day.
I mean, I just think excellence across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously on the court, man, that's a no-brainer. Like what he brings, his presence, just being there. Everybody's got to step it up. And we had a lot of intense practices, man. Like the practices harder than the games. You know, how much we was competing, guys getting ready to fight. Like but those are the moments that I appreciate. You know what I'm saying? Like going to bed and like, man, we got practice tomorrow. Like knowing that you got to bring it. Like you can't come in there slouching because he gonna talk shit. You know, they gonna talk bad. It's gonna be all of that. So, you know, he just raises the bar, man. And what I'm grateful for and what I always stress is watching him as a husband and as a father and just seeing him in those two ways was very impressive for me. Not impressive from the standpoint of like I'm doubting him or something like that. Like not nothing like that, but just a guy that stature, man, and you know, he's always busy and work. Like, you know, for myself, I can go home after practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
He might have business meetings, he might have to shoot a commercial, he might have to do this, he might have to do that, all the way up until 7, 8, 9 at night. So to watch him still make time no matter what's going on, man, is I mean, it's amazing to watch, man. He definitely kept those girls first, second, and third. You know, everything else was after that. So just grateful to have the conversations that I had with him in life. You know, just talking about different things and not it always having to be basketball, but just being able to pick his brain about so many other things. And that was the really cool part, and that was a true blessing to be able to have someone like that always close by. You know, and all those guys on that team for those 2 years, for that matter, man. I mean, we were brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? We still keeping up, man. I know, you know, a lot of those guys live here in Atlanta. Still being able to touch base and reach out, you know, and it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I talk to Meta every blue moon. Lamar's here in Atlanta. I just talked to Trevor the other day. I mean, we just be keeping up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's unfortunate what happened to Bean, man, but you know, his legacy will forever live on. And shit, when you got guys like Pau Gasol in the world, you know, it always makes the world a better place. Because I mean, what he's doing for their family, I mean, I got to commend him because I think that's truly amazing. You know, he's really going above and beyond, and he's serving. You know, like he literally is. They're on trips. I mean, he was living in LA to make sure they're good. Like he's doing his damn thing. I want to give him his roses, man. So that's really amazing what he's doing.
Yeah, it's cool to see that you guys are like still really close and like honestly have formed a brotherhood, and it's cool to see, you know, everyone helping each other out. I mean, I believe we had Jermaine Jones on 2 weeks ago. I think he said Lamar Odom was one of the best teammates he has ever had because of his leadership. So it's cool to see like all of you guys mention that at the same time.
Yeah.
But to close it out, we had a couple questions sent in to us. We'll just go with the top ones. One of the questions sent in was back to your 2010 NBA Finals. They wanted to know, how did the Lakers' strategy change against the Celtics in the 2010 NBA Finals when Kendrick Perkins went down with an injury in Game 6?
I don't think you know, at that point, it's not necessarily changes. I think that people got to understand, like when you get to the finals, it ain't even about X's and O's no more. It's just about who wants it more, because you've had 3 rounds to prepare for that team in the finals. Everybody knows the plays. You might tweak some things and trick some things, but for the most part, it's like, who wants it more? And even though Perk went down in Game 6, look at what happens whenever somebody that is a big part of what they do is missing, and then how that team responds, because they was kicking our ass in Game 7. So we had to figure it out, you know what I mean, and calm down and get our stuff together. And some, that's playoff basketball. It's just sometimes it's like that. I remember, it's crazy. I remember when Yao went down.
Yeah.
And remember how hard it was for us to beat them. Like, we was struggling, bro. Like, we was tripping.
When Yao went down,
when Yao went down, it was like, oh man, we finna turn up. Like, we finna sweep the boys. They was not having that, man. It was not having that, bro. And everybody else stepped up, because it's like, when you ain't got nothing to lose, that's when the team's even scarier. And before I forget, before you ask your next question, man,
yeah.
I know people want to. I don't know if it's Laker fan, whoever, man. I got a couple pair of Kobe's, like some shits that I've worn or whatever, that I could sign and send off, man. So I don't know if somebody might want those or whatever.
I think the biggest Laker fan.
Hey, look, let me tell you something right now. Hey, look, let me tell you something right now. If we don't find a listener, your boy right here. You ain't got to look too far.
That's fair. I'll make sure I get you straight.
He's probably the biggest Lakers fan I've ever met my entire life. It's funny, like, because obviously the Celtics-Lakers played last night. We were
yes, sir,
the entire night. But yeah, I don't want to talk about that game anymore, because it didn't end in my
It's all right, man. It's all right.
Let it out.
Moving on from that, what players would you say you learned the most from in your career, and who was, like, kind of most influential to you?
Too many, brother. Shit, I had Dirk. Started off with Dirk and Steve Nash. I mean, shit, come on.
Dirk.
Jermaine O'Neal. Shit, the whole We Believe. I mean, you had Al. Al was a beast. Stack, Barron, Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Melo. I've been able to play on some teams, man. So I can't really pinpoint. Shit, along with coaches, I had Don Nelson, Avery Johnson, Greg Popovich,
wow,
Phil Jackson, Kevin McHale.
Wow.
Man, I'm lucky.
You got everyone.
You got everybody you need.
Yeah.
I'm lucky, man. Like, I cannot complain. Rick Carlisle, quiet as kept. He's a good coach. Mm-hmm. But I've been around it all, man. Teammates from all different walks. I'm grateful. Like, I can't, like I said, like, it can't just be one. I mean, shit, I played with 2 arguably top 10 all time. I mean, Dirk definitely is Luka gonna definitely do what he gonna do, but Dirk arguably is probably the best international player.
100%.
Easily, yeah, all time.
Only thing, so I guess the only thing would be, was Tim.
Because is it Dominican, where he's technically from?
He played college ball though, right?
Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest.
Yeah.
But I think his people I forgot where his people are from, but if not, like I said, you still talking, man.
Steve Nash, gotta have Steve Nash in that conversation.
Yeah.
My guy.
That's insane. I guess this leads perfectly into the next question that was asked, though, asking what it was like playing with Pau Gasol, Dirk Nowitzki, all those guys. So you specifically, where you were big as well, do you feel like you used it as an opportunity to learn from them? Was it like competitive to get more minutes?
Definitely learn. And then here's the other thing. I got better because I got a chance to guard those guys every day. So then for me, my mindset is I don't give a fuck who I'm guarding. Like, I feel like I can lock anybody up because of who I'm going against every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the thing that I used for me because I knew that my role, rebounder, energy guy, I got to be able to defend multiple positions. So that's another reason why I went as hard as I did in practice. Like, going against those guys and figuring out how to stop or make it hard for some of the best guys in the league that are on my team, yeah, it definitely gives you an edge for sure.
That's cool. And the final question to end things out. This is something I have always personally wondered as well. After winning the NBA championship, what are the locker room celebrations like?
Man, it's a lot of champagne popping. The music is live. Everybody in the locker room just turned up. I don't know, man. It's everything you see on TV. I mean, it's the dope thing about it is the fact that it's like everybody can live that moment with you because the cameras are in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's as real as it gets because it's not like we're putting on for the camera and it's like, all right, y'all get out. Like they're catching the actual reaction. They're following you in there. I mean, it was just amazing, man. You hugging guys and you just reminiscing, you just talking about how crazy it is, the feeling. Everybody gets a chance to touch the trophy. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was going through Getty Images earlier today, and there are some pretty funny pictures of you guys in the locker room. So that was really fun.
And then the crazy shit was I remember when because I got drunk the night of the first one, and I took like half my hair out, and I had like the MVP trophy and the finals trophy. I was tripping. I don't remember none of it either. That's the thing that was crazy.
That's awesome.
Hey, I would hope so. I mean, I feel like you win a chip, you kind of got to go big or go home at that point with the drinking of the same.
Bro. And I definitely went big.
How long do those celebrations last until you realize, like, okay, it's time to get to work for the next year?
To be honest, bro, like it really don't stop because on the flip side, I mean, even now, it's like to just be recognized as two-time whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's still in the sense of celebration. Like anybody that's won a championship, they're going to be introduced by their accomplishment. So, go ahead.
You're in history books pretty much. Like no one can take that from you.
Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope.
And that's the part that I'm proud of because it's my family, it's my kids, it's all of that. Like people can talk shit, man. You only scored or averaged 2 points. Like, yeah, that's cool, bro. But I'm gonna be where I'm at, and that's you say what you want to say. I'm humbled about it. But that's a big reason to be proud, man. I got the Wheaties box on my fireplace downstairs.
That's cool.
That to me is cool as shit. Like to be on a cereal box, like that's cool, bro. Like
yeah,
I appreciate that, man. So
yeah, and it's also way more than stats. Like I feel like anyone that just throws stats at your face is wrong. Because we actually had this conversation a few weeks ago. We had Craig Smith on our podcast. And Craig went to BC with Jared Dudley. So we started talking about Jared Dudley.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike went on a rant about how Jared Dudley means like so much to the Lakers just because of his IQ. And you have so many more ways to contribute to a basketball team than versus just what you do on the court. You know what I mean?
Let me also say this, man. For anybody that think it's sweet, go to one of them open runs where it ain't no coaches and it ain't no plays. And then see how sweet it is then. I'm definitely gonna talk my shit because anybody that knows me, whenever it's not that type of setting, they know what I'm coming with and what I'm bringing to the table. I still be hooping every day, so I don't be worried about that, man. I just wish people can mature. I don't want to say grow up because
that's a good word for it.
I just think that they gotta mature, man. Like guys don't make it to that level if you're that sorry as you trying to say.
Right.
And if all you got is to tell somebody, man, oh, you ain't average number 2 or 3 points. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But I'm feeding my family. I'm making a living. I'm doing my part. I got to play a role. Everybody got their own role. Everybody can't average 20. So you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I think it's funny, man. Everyone on Twitter with the fast thumbs and they always got a lot to say. I mean, you said you played Hakeem one-on-one. He's probably 60, 70 now, and I bet he would drop off any one of those guys talking trash on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Hakeem might have just turned he's like 50 something, but he looks good. Like he can still move and play, and he's in shape. Like I just think like people, if it was that easy, then everybody could be able to do it. You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? Like it's just funny. Like everybody got something to say, man. Like, oh man, that record's trash. That song is trash. That movie is trash. Well, do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Even with what you all are doing, guys. Like, think about this, man. Everybody's doing podcasts now, right? That don't mean that everybody's fucking good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that everybody can hold a good conversation or ask the right questions or connect with the person that they're interviewing. Like, that takes a skill. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like, I'm grateful. You know, people want to talk to me, then shit, I'm humbled by it. Like, well, shit, I'm minding my business, and folks like, shit, we want to know about you. Okay, cool. I'm always show love. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's important. Everybody got to have a start. But this is one of them situations like, shit, everybody want to do a podcast. Everybody ain't able to do one. That don't mean that you know what I'm saying, is good at what you doing. Like, I know you love it, but I mean, there's levels to this shit. Y'all know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it ain't for everybody. That's just me being 100. Like, that ain't no shade to anybody or anything like that. But it's just funny how everybody always got something to say. Everybody want to always down somebody else, man. We need to get rid of that shit, man. There need to be more love. There need to be more saluting. There need to be more supporting. There need to be all of that, like the different vibes, man. This world too, it's shit. Life too short to be doing all that.
That's
especially right now. Especially right now.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man. Like, if we are ever on the same court, I definitely want to be on your team and not going against you, because I would probably die. Let's be honest. I'm like 5'10" on a good day.
But you know what, man, is mind over matter, man. I see a lot of folks with a lot of heart, man, and you know, shout out to my brother Chris Clemens, man. He one of them 5'10" brothers. You know, he tore his Achilles, but he's somebody that can hoop. He can go. You know what I mean? And he's showing and proving that. I mean, you know, he's got a couple of years in the league, and can't wait till he gets back and healthy, man. But
Houston, right?
Yep,
Houston. Okay, yeah.
That's why I love Isaiah Thomas. I want that man back on a roster. Like, he deserves it so much.
He does.
Yeah, we love Isaiah Thomas. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Crown Hoops Podcast. As always, my name is Jordan Daly. We had Ben Okazawa, Mike White, and Josh Powell. Thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yo, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All love, fellas. Hey, man, y'all keep doing what you're doing, man. Nothing but roses, man. This is a dope show. I appreciate the opportunity to thank y'all, man. And, you know, I'll jump on anytime, fellas. Y'all just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Best of luck. Stay safe. Take care.
Have a good one.
We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Yes, sir.